We begin by resting the tip flush against the top of the lead. Now, contact the lead and the land with the solder wire, away from the tip. This will allow the flux to clean the connection instead of burning away on the tip of the iron. You don't want to press down on the leads or the lands. Even light pressure can bend or skew the lead out of position or damage the land. You can proceed from one joint to the next until all the joints are soldered. An alternate method is to place the solder wire on the land and then contact the wire with the tip of the iron. This procedure is designed to minimize the amount of time that the iron is in contact with the joint. Considering the higher melting temperatures for lead-free solders, some companies prefer this method to slightly shorten soldering times. After all of the joints are soldered, we'll need to clean the flux residues, unless you are using a no-clean flux. Your company will provide you with a compatible cleaning solution. A brush can access between the leads and around the component, but you need to be careful not to bend the leads with excessive force. There will also be flux residues underneath the component that you may not be able to remove by hand. Reworked assemblies can also be processed through a cleaning machine to remove these hidden residues. Now we'll inspect these joints to make sure they look right. Notice that the tin-silver-copper alloy is grainier in appearance than the tin-lead solder joints you're used to seeing. This graininess is caused by the higher soldering temperatures and is generally considered a cosmetic issue. We'll discuss lead-free solder joint evaluation more thoroughly in Section 3. A faster method of hand soldering rework is by what's known as drag soldering. Although drag soldering is an excellent technique to use during tin-lead solder rework, it is much more difficult to accomplish successfully with the lead-free alloys. One method for increasing the probability of a positive outcome when drag soldering in a lead-free process is to preheat the assembly. Preheating will improve the wetting of the solder. But even when we preheat, there will be the occasional solder bridge. Solder bridges can be fixed by adding flux and drawing off the excess solder onto the tip of the iron. The choice then becomes whether to fix the solder bridges one at a time or to solder the leads one at a time. Some find that by preheating the assembly, drag soldering is faster than point-to-point soldering, even when you factor in repairing a solder bridge or two. Our last topic in this section involves touching up unacceptable solder connections. The most important consideration is using compatible lead-free solder and flux, and setting the soldering temperature for the higher lead-free alloy melting temperature.